The Laboratory Testing Committee, I need to say a few words, has been a very active committee, and they have put so much effort into what they've done. I'm very, very proud of the work that they've accomplished. Kristen's been involved so the work that this committee is doing is very important to us. And again, if you've got issues around testing, you should feed them in. And if you've got qualifications around testing, actual background scientific knowledge, join them, because they are open to all people who have critical information about how testing should be done.
My name is Kristen Goedde. I am the chair of the Laboratory Testing Committee under the NJCBA. We focus on everything related to testing, which is really everything in the supply chain. Testing laboratories in general are, we're not really directly involved in the supply chain. We're that final check before something goes to a dispensary. So we work directly a lot with cultivators and manufacturers before it hits the retail shelves. And I think one thing that offers insight as a testing laboratory is that we see all the issues before anyone else. We're always there for that first harvest batch, the first production batch of a new product type, how it's tested and everything like that. So I have everything from, the metric nuances back 2 years ago when they started implementing that to just routine everyday testing. In the Laboratory Testing Committee under the NJCBA, we really focus on pushing the CRC to establish guidance specific to New Jersey that helps cultivators, manufacturers, retailers, as well as laboratories be able to help our clients meet the regulations. One thing that we really have focused on in the past, 2 or 3 years, I think, we continually update this document regarding strengthening laboratory governance and oversight. So you may have heard recently at a CRC meeting, Chris Riggs went on the record discussing inflated THCA potency results and the interesting yeast and mold results where mold doesn't know how to grow over 9,999 CFU per gram because the limit's 100,000, right? So these are all issues that aren't just New Jersey specific. They're in the market in every state that operates an adult use market that involves testing. There are things that can be done, though, to lessen the effects. Really governing the laboratories, making sure that someone with scientific expertise, which I really give credit to the CRC over the last couple of months for bringing on a scientist, first one since the establishment of the CRC. So we're working through that, which is great because she can talk to laboratories on a different level and help us help the market and make sure that the data that is coming out of laboratories is accurate. Having that full-time oversight over the data that's being produced is critical for not only consumer health and safety, but trust in the market in general. The one thing that a lot of regulators and legislators will harp on in the cannabis industry, like buy legal, it's safe, it's tested, it's safe. Those aren't synonymous if it's not when you don't have any oversight over the laboratories that are performing the testing. So making sure that the data coming out is accurate, that there are no contaminants that are affecting the market, which would also affect brand recalls. And you don't want to be the first dispensary with a huge recall, or your first product batch to the market gets recalled, and then all eyes are on you. It could destroy a brand. So really trying to play that role of like a scientific liaison with the regulators, explaining the intricacies of the cannabis market in general, including just like cannabis plant material in general, like testing cannabis matrix versus other types of food testing or pharmaceutical testing and things like that. Whenever you're working with a new type of material, there are new methods that need to be developed, and you need to make sure that those methods are accurate. So having that higher level of oversight is critical. So I'm really glad the CRC listened to our first point of our, I think, 10-point program regarding laboratory governance by hiring a scientific expert, and we hope to see them also bring on proficiency testing, round-robin testing, and unannounced audits and things like that to help strengthen the reliability of the data that you as a cultivator or manufacturer or retailer put out. Beyond that, like overarching, like let's make sure that the data is accurate. We also, deal with a lot of the same issues that other license types deal with, like uniform guidance within the CRC. Like, how many times have you been talking to someone who is a fellow manufacturer or cultivator, and their investigators telling them a completely different thing? There are about, I think, 7 licensed testing labs in the state, and we all have different CRC investigators. So we all get different guidance given to us. And I think one thing that is really critical that we really push the CRC to do is to make sure that investigators are trained by license class, that they understand the facilities that they're going into, that they can properly audit them, and that they establish a explicit uniform guidance between each license type, because it can set you up at a disadvantage. For example, with testing laboratories, we have 3 of the 4 or 5 most operational laboratories in the state on the committee, and we all have different guidance related to stability testing, where some is like, oh, you don't have to do it at all. To others, it's every batch, every lot. And that puts you at a great market disadvantage when you're trying to, as a third party, say, okay, well, this is what my investigators tell me. Well, you can go across the street, and they're not saying that. So establishing that uniform guidance, and then also working with the manufacturing cultivation committee for those specific issues regarding like data transparency, making sure that metric data gets out into the open regarding not just like operational licenses, like different types of numbers of products, anonymized data, things like that, but the testing data in general, as you can see from the announcement from the CRC through Chris Riggs, like that data is telling. You can see these cliffs, these action limits, and by having more eyes on it, you're able to better identify where to look, right? And then also working with the manufacturing committee and cultivation committee on stability testing, like what makes sense? Like, it doesn't make sense to test every batch or lot. No one is looking at that data. The CRC is not looking at it. What makes sense for a stability program? Make sure that your packaging is verified for the type of material that you're putting in it, that your actual formulation is verified over time, and doing a more technical, in-depth study on your specific product versus testing every batch or lot just to get an extra 6-month expiration date on that specific batch or lot, and then you have to redo it for the next batch that you made 2 days later. It doesn't make any sense, and we just want to make sure that we're being able to provide that scientific expertise to the CRC. So really, like anyone involved, we have people on our committee with backgrounds in GMP and pharmaceutical and things like that outside of the cannabis industry that are not associated with testing laboratories that come in as our scientific experts to help assist, and let's see what they're doing under FDA, USP, and try to align that with cannabis specific. Some other like overarching issues that I think anyone honestly involved in cannabis industry should care about. We wouldn't be here without it. Medical patient rights. Making sure that the things that were promised years ago are implemented. Getting institutional caregivers, institutional access. Medical home grow in general. Those are things that, as an NJCBA committee and also the larger organization, you can help be a part of pushing some of these things forward and trying to get some change, especially now as we enter lame duck. It is well past time for something as simple as medical home grow to go through. I know I went through a lot there, so I'm going to give it back over to Marianne if she has any questions and take it. Thank you.